I really am so lucky that the librarians decided to take pity on me after those books were desecrated by the hands of those unworthy to wield them. Not only can they levy the loss of the copies in the hopes of getting updated editions, for the sake of edifying the rest of the student body, but they're offering me the opportunity to work off my fines during my free periods and after school. Either way, a wonderful day for learning awaits them. This might be the best for all of us. As if I wouldn't simply ask them to do this all on my own. Although, I'll admit that I'm surprised you joined me. I mean, I know this whole stalker business has forced you to remain by somebody's side as a safety measure, but, I'm sure there are others who'd be happy to have your company as much as I am, and besides, this is hardly as interesting to you as it is to me. I mean, yes, you are correct, I am just shelving books, but also consider the fact that the books I'm shelving were once checked out. If I shelve books on enough days and shelve the same or similar books on enough days, I can figure out the reading demographics of the school at this specific time in this specific cultural moment. And I have the chance to apply this research to others' findings just as much as I have. And with that, we can figure out reading trends within high schools. And with even more research, we could track a greater trend of growth and loss and I know this kind of random data collection isn't really your thing. You've been very polite about it though, and for that I can't help but be grateful. But I know there are people more than willing to hang out with you in my stead. Kimmy has made that very clear. You know, Kimmy Schlatt. You did a project with her a while back? I think it was for English or something of the sort. I don't know. I think the only reason I remember it at all is because you complained the whole time. And you were quite loud. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love listening to your thoughts, be they positive or negative, and, well, you've got the personality to kvetch in a way that's simply enrapturing to listen to, but your complaints just sort of registered as odd to me. I think that's the only reason why I even remember it now. Well, not to brag about the simple courtesy of listening to somebody intently when they speak, but you complained about how nice she acted. She was always very kind, very sweet, very courteous, and wanted to spend every minute with you that she could, and you thought that was creepy as all hell. So, didn't you say that she tried to get you to miss your bus so you'd be forced to wait another hour for another one with her? I know it's not exactly provable, but you are right about being odd, possibly malevolent. I completely understand if you forgot about her on purpose right about now. I guess you could call it a crush. A crush, a romantic attachment would make the most sense for her clingy behavior and also help to explain the immediate urge to dismiss it that comes with a cursory viewing. I'll admit, even recounting it now, I played into those biases of seeing it as more pathetic and clingy than the threat that it is, and as a friend of yours, I have no excuse to do that. Apologies. Apologies. I guess I just don't really get crushes as a concept. I mean, aren't relationships generally formed with the intent to last as long term as life within those relationships? What's the point in dating in high school if you don't plan to get married and hate the connotations of the high school sweetheart? Maybe that's more my issue than anything else. I swear that if I didn't have one, I just wouldn't get it. If you're really in control of all your faculties, you should be able to control your feelings, right? Just stop having them. I feel like so many of our peers nowadays just. Hmm? Sometimes I forget that you're just as good a listener as me. Not to be crude, but. Damn it. Fine. I am tragically stupid enough to allow my hormones to influence my brain chemistry in some manner that allows me to look like your average teenage girl with a crush. I almost hate it. It goes against everything I stand for as a researcher, as an observer. I don't feel as objective as I used to be on certain topics just because of how much of it consumes me. And unfortunately, it does consume me. I'm not used to big feelings. Most things are a swarming sea of apathy beyond the passion that drives the heart of my research efforts, and the feeble emotional attachments that I have to certain individuals that I lack the ability to tamper down more than I already am. But this thing, I call it a crush, as the ultimate show of restraint I have within myself and not allow myself to be consumed by it. I can't call it love. I can't call it love. It fills me night and day, day and night. I think about it all the time. What it means for me. What it means for them. What it can mean for the both of us. The ramifications of it all. I also think about them. Them. I wish I could tell you more about them. I wish you could know how they consume me, and I wish I could tell you why. Why I'd let myself float on this illusory, imaginary cloud nine of emotional perpetuity. I honestly hate what this does to me. What this does to my rational, thinking, breathing mind. And I hate how little I mind. There's an easier world out there. One where I am what my peers tell me I am. Cold, clinical, occasionally witchy enough to hang for my inadequacies. When I can fall in line, it's not just easier for them, but easier for me. It's easier to live in a world where my emotions are just as easy to abstract as a piece of raw data, and just as easy to pathologize. Stimulus is X and the reaction is Y, so the appropriate response is Z. It's no longer a situation, an incident, an episode, one with the expectations that come with raw emotions or the inconsistency of life. There are hundreds of equations just like this throughout the day. Thousands. Tens of thousands, even. You get enough equations together, you get an algorithm, and you no longer even worry about whether X and Y equal Z because A and B equaled C the day before. And with enough revisions to the social emotional algorithm, you can almost blend in. Almost blend in. It's not about fitting in, conforming to a wider algorithm that you either lack the necessary programming for or could care less about conforming to, but blending. Fitting in just enough to prevent the hardware that really matters from being clogged with insignificant social measures when the siren song of academia, in formulating these same algorithms on a smaller scale, sings so sweetly. But this crush, this thing that if I dare to consider it love, will surely squander my soul beneath its grasps. This crush makes me want to forsake the idea of equations entirely. A and B may always equal C, but I'm no longer even considering it a certainty. I'm no longer considering it at all. I can consider the periphery, but there's no calculation, no math, no research that can be done or that I even want to really do. Theory has undoubtedly been considered, of course, but that's all it is. There is no algorithm. It's just me. Me as me. Myself as I. No throwing in a few likes or uhs when called upon in class to make myself sound less informed than I am. No speaking with the exception of being spoken to. No having the common sense to clamp down on half-researched rambling when prompted. I might be my worst self in those moments, but I'm my purest self. I'm me. Do you really like me in those moments? You flatter me, but you haven't even seen me in full rant mode yet. Or have you? It's difficult to say. It's difficult to know if you'd even want to hang out with me if you knew at the very beginning I was always on the verge of a nerd session about the most simple of things. Was that really how we met? Now look at who's repressing memories. That's right. Little Miss Kimmy Schlatt had the worst interpretation of the crucible ever heard by human ears, and you just really expected me to let that stand. Well, no, you didn't. Because you didn't even know me at the time. But Kimmy knew me. She knew me well enough to pack tomato soup at the very least. It's almost hard to believe that water is a de-escalation at this point, but then you did something that surprised her. You helped me. You led me to the bathroom. You helped me wash my smocks. You lent me one of your jackets, and you were even nice enough to keep everyone out to keep from embarrassing me. You really helped me. I don't think I even ever told you it was Kimmy Schlatt who did it. You just knew her well enough in the time you were forced together to know she'd pull something like that. And she did. And you helped me when you really didn't need to. You were nice enough to try and willing enough to succeed. I guess I've clung to you ever since, but if you mind, you haven't told me. To be honest, I know Kimmy Schlatt is awful, and I can't pretend that my crush wouldn't find me the same level of horribly insufferable, but I'm surprised that everybody doesn't have a crush on you. I really am, now. On to the next section?